What's on your playlist right now?
At the moment in my class,
Go to guilty pleasure food.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Hello, my name is Pete Scully and I'm from London in the UK, and I've lived in Davis since late 2005. I started working for the UC Davis Department of Statistics in early 2006, first as the Graduate Programs Coordinator and now as the Department Manager. Now, while I've drawn all of my life, it was after moving to Davis that I started to sketch a lot more often, and I took to drawing as much of Davis as possible. I held my first solo exhibition of drawings at the Pence Gallery in 2011, and in 2016 the UC Davis Design Museum held a 10-year retrospective of my sketchbooks called Conversations with the City. I've published 2 books about drawing, and I've also organised large themed sketch crawls in London, as well as monthly sketch crawls in Davis. And I've attended many urban sketching symposia in both the US and in Europe.
Wow, that's impressive. Welcome to Face, Pete. Great to have you here. I want you to know I'm a big fan. And let's jump right in with some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's good to be here.
Great. So tell me, when did you start drawing?
I mean, I started drawing as soon as I picked up a pen, and I hold my pen in quite a funny way, which my teachers did try to change. But yeah, I mean, I was drawing all my life, and then I think maybe around my teenage years, late teenage years, I stopped. And then I started again a few years later, and really once I came to Davis, where the weather's much nicer, I started drawing outside a lot more. Taking advantage of the sunshine, and I haven't stopped since. I've just been drawing Davis every day, it feels like.
Well, that's interesting that you stopped and started when you came back to Davis. Tell me, what do you get out of sketching, and what about Davis remotivated you to get started again?
So I think when I moved to Davis, I'm 5,000 miles away from home, and in a way, like, drawing was a way to kind of observe my new city, but also to show people back home. I started posting my sketches online to, houses, picket fences, all the things, fire hydrants, the things that we don't really have in London, and we don't have fire hydrants in London, at least not above the ground. So I started to draw those things because they were interesting to me, but once I started realising there were other people who posted their sketches online on blogs and various Flickr groups and things like that, it motivated me to keep drawing more and more and more. And I think the sunshine here in Davis was another big motivating factor. In London it rains a lot, so if you go out and it's cold and drizzly, you're less likely to want to draw. But here in Davis, I mean, it's perfect sketching weather.
It's hard to keep a sketch if it's raining on the paper, right?
I mean, I've tried it, but it's not easy. I've sketched in Portland in the rain, and I've had my sketchbook upside down. That didn't work.
That's creative.
I now have a technique in London where I put the umbrella inside my jacket, and I'm fine.
You're a big proponent of keeping your sketchbook with you. Tell me why that is.
I think of the sketchbook as a visual diary. I've got all my sketchbooks lined up on a shelf at home, and I number them all. And if I want to remember something, such as like when my son was little and played with a tractor, I'll go and find that sketchbook and I'll look it up and it'll remind me of that. But I don't tend to write stuff down as much as I used to, but I draw everything. And so, yeah, for me, the sketchbook is it's a visual diary. It's a way of remembering where I've been and who I was, but also for my family as well. I mean, I like to think of that those sketchbooks are a record of our life here in Davis as well. So.
Visual diary, that's a very cool term. I like that. Tell me about some of the sketch events that you've done, and let us know if you have any of those coming up anytime soon.
Because of my soccer schedule, I don't have any sketch crawls planned anytime soon, but we were holding monthly sketch crawls for, a good 10 years, called Let's Draw Davis. I had the idea after visiting Portland for the first Urban Sketching Symposium, where I met sketchers from all over the world, some of my heroes. And I came back full of ideas, and I had this idea, no, I've got to get out there in Davis. I've got to meet other sketchers, and I wanted it to be an inclusive thing. You know, when I was at university, I did interactive theatre, and one of the things that came out of that was, you know, to be inclusive, to be accessible for everyone. And so I wanted sketching to kind of feel the same way. It wasn't the for simply for art students or for plein air painters. It was something where you could just put a sketchbook in your pocket, and all you need is something to draw with and something to draw on. And it doesn't really matter whether it's good or bad. The whole point of it is to observe what you're seeing, and that way you have a relationship with what you're seeing, and that's why I call it a conversation with the city. You know, I'm not out there because I want to draw the best fire hydrant, let's say. I want to observe that fire hydrant, and then next time I see it, well, I've kind of, you know, it's like my friend, you know. That's the only way I can put it.
Well, that's interesting. Let's draw Davis. You've been here 15 years now, and I imagine you've drawn some very interesting aspects of our evolving campus. Can you tell me about a few of those and the ones that you liked?
Recently, I've been drawing Walker Hall. I was informed back in 2013 or so by Jeff Giblin, the graduate dean, that it was going to be redeveloped as the new graduate centre. And so I started drawing it in its old form. I did a big panorama of it. And then eventually in about 2016, I think it was, 2017, I can't remember the dates now, they started the redevelopment, and I decided that I was going to be there most lunchtimes trying to draw from the outside. And so they invited me inside to draw the building site when it was just like holes in the floor. And so I got a few interesting perspectives of it. And, you know, the building just opened recently, and it's going to have its official opening soon. But I've got a record of the whole process. Now, that was a redevelopment. But there are other buildings on campus, such as the Manetti Shrem, which was a brand new building. As soon as I saw that was going up, I was up there most days with my sketchbook, drawing outside, drawing all the pillars. And what I've got then is a record of that building as it would look like on no other day again. You know, once it's complete, kind of it's always going to look like that. But I've got a record of it with just the pillars and not those slats. And it's quite nice. It's quite nice because then I feel that I have a relationship with that building that, you know, is kind of personal to me. Yeah.
And those sketches are truly admired by many on our campus. As I mentioned, I'm a fan. I enjoy looking at those sketches. Do you like to sketch buildings and architecture more than you like portraits of people? I know you've done both.
Yeah, very much. One of the great things about buildings is that they don't often have an opinion afterwards on how you've drawn them, and I sometimes get that with people. But I do like to draw people. I mean, I did write a book about drawing people, a book which features several UC Davis characters actually. So I like to draw people at meetings and at certain events, such as newsworthy events. For example, I might go down and I'll draw the characters there, like marches and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, so I do like drawing people, but I like to keep it quick and simple because, if it's just 5 minutes long, I can run away quickly, if they don't like it.
Well, have you drawn a certain chancellor? That won't have any impact on your employment status, by the way.
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, your first day on campus when you came to visit, and it was a sweltering hot day, and there was ice cream that was melting, and I did ask my staff to come down and let's go meet. And of course, I had to get a sketch in. But I think I drew one of your first talks at the Mondavi Centre as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I think maybe there was a talk down at Central Park with a lot of people, John Garamendi and people like that there. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I've drawn you a few times.
I think I do remember the ice cream sketch because that was a memorable day. I want to shift gears just a little bit and play a little game that we call Hot Seat.
Okay.
This is where I ask you some rapid-fire questions, trying to get quick answers, one word, one sentence type answers. Sound good?
Okay.
Ready to go? All right, here we go. Favorite sketch you've drawn?
Gosh. Oh, my gosh. The last one I did, Konditorei. I drew Konditorei, Austrian bakery that's closing this week. I drew it last weekend. They have the best birthday cakes. Sad to see them go.
Wow. Okay. Well, good that you've preserved them in your sketchbook. What's the most inspiring place you've ever sketched?
probably Porto in Portugal. The vistas there, unbelievable, but it's also extremely hilly and so tiring. But yeah, probably Porto. Or no, London. Got to be London. London's my favourite city. I can't have one-word answers on this.
That's okay. You may know that I like comic books, and I actually used to draw a little bit myself when I was
Cool.
a kid. And so the next question is, what's the best X-Men movie or your favorite comic?
Well, I mean, I love the X-Men. I love Magneto. I really like X-Men 2. I really like the bit where Magneto breaks out of prison, and I've drawn little cartoons of that many, many times. But yeah, I would say there's a lot of. I think God Loves, Man Kills is a really good one. The X-Men.
Yeah, I would say many people believe X-Men 2 was the best movie of the series, and it's patterned after that comic, God Love Men Kill.
Yeah.
God Loves Men Kill.
I always get that wrong.
Means something different if you switch it.
Yeah.
A friend who's visiting who's never been to Davis, where do you take them first?
Second Street, probably. Just walk around, see the Varsity Theatre. The Varsity Theatre is the place that probably reminds me most of Back to the Future, which was one of my favourite films as a kid. And moving to Davis, it's very much like Hill Valley in some ways. So, and now, of course, we get the people on the hoverboards whizzing around. You know, when I first came here, it was just skateboards. Now the hoverboards, well, they don't really hover, but they go really fast with motors on.
That theater does look like Back to the Future. I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now when I'm by there.
Well, think of it with the holographic shark coming out of the top, and that's...
Yeah, exactly. Last one, fantasy job or career?
I mean, I really love my current job, if I'm honest with you. You know, I really love working for the Department of Statistics. You know, it's a great place to work. UC Davis is a great place to work. But obviously, you know, if it were drawing every day, but I think I'd get bored of drawing every day, if I'm honest. I quite like drawing at lunchtimes to relax myself from, you know, the real work. So
it breaks up the day a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
But drawing X-Men comics probably.
Indeed. So now it's your turn. We're going to flip it around, and you can ask me anything you'd like to know.
Okay, so I had a couple of questions. The first one will be an art question, which is there a particular artist or a particular piece of art, doesn't have to be mine, that has always moved or inspired you?
You know, I always enjoyed, I don't know if you remember the old sitcom Good Times, but the character JJ in theory he was an artist, but the artist that actually drew for him was a guy by the name of Ernie Barnes, famous African-American artist. And I've always enjoyed his pieces. He just draws these very elongated human characters doing something interesting at a party or you know, and I just always enjoyed his work. But there are many, you know, Tebow, you know, Wayne Tebow.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really become familiar with Tebow until I came to Davis. But the fact that you can look at a Tebow painting, and it looks good enough to eat is just fascinating to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are a couple.
Excellent, thank you. And then there's a fun question. I really enjoyed the recent Get Back documentary about the Beatles, which is another one of my big obsessions. So my question for you, if you could choose any band or musician from history to play a show on the rooftop of Merak Hall, who would you choose?
If I had to pick an individual artist, I'd pick Stevie Wonder. He's my all-time favorite artist. No question there. If it was a band, there are lots of bands I enjoyed. Earth, Wind, and Fire comes to mind. I did like the Beatles as well. Many good bands, but those are a couple that I would. But I'm a music aficionado, so it's hard to pick.
It's hard to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get someone to play on the roof of Merak.
It would be a fun one. So.
It would definitely.
I'd definitely sketch that. So.
Yeah, and we'd have a big party out in the quad while they were playing. Yeah. Well, Pete, you know, it's been great talking with you. I'm looking forward to seeing many more of your sketches in the future. Thanks for doing them. We really enjoy them. The whole community gets a lot out of your work, and I hope it continues. And And thanks to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time here on Face to Face. Go Ags.